All right, welcome to another episode of Sparring Sessions. This week we're breaking down UFC Fight Night, Kape versus Almabayev. Predictions, picks, you name it, all that good stuff. You guys know the drill by now. First, though, I want to bring in my co-host. Some might say he's the sexiest man in all of Philadelphia. You know, I'm going to vote for him. We'll see. Will, how you doing?
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Excited for the event though. So yeah, I don't have much words for after that introduction. So thanks, man.
Yeah. This is it's an event. It certainly is UFC Fight Night, there will be some fights, no fans. This is going down to the UFC Apex. They told us we're getting out of the Apex forever, and then they told us it again the next year, and we've been hearing it ever since. But we're back. We're back after a week in Seattle with fans. It'll be, I can't say nice to see the empty halls of the UFC Apex, but
Yeah, man. Fights like
we'll see.
Andrea Lee and JJ Aldrich need the crowd.
Sure, that is definitely an Apex fight. Well, you've been in attendance in an Apex fight.
Yeah,
Is
I've been
the
there. I've been there a few times.
is it better? Well, it's got to be better than watching it live on
Oh,
TV,
it's
but
the most unique experience ever. But like, um, think of like the highest level regional show you could go to, because little
mhm.
regional shows might have like 200 seaters, and that's pretty much what the Apex is that it's very small, very intimate. It's very well put together in terms of who comes in and who comes out. It's not like a free show. Yeah, depending on where you're sitting and what kind of pass you might have, they have like an open bar section. You might go, get a plate of shrimp and oh, there's Colby Covington right next to you. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So, drinks, food. Yeah, it's a really nice, well put together spot.
It's good to hear. If I ever have
Yeah.
a spare $3 grand laying around, I'll definitely check it out. Those are some expensive seats, but we're
Yeah,
not going
yeah.
to be in person. We're going to be watching from our TV sets, our phones, wherever it may be. You see it on the screen. UFC Fight Night, Kape versus Almabayev, going down to UFC Apex this Saturday, March 1st at 4 p.m. Eastern. At least it's a little bit early of a fight card. Um, we have 12 fights going down, 3 ranked fighters out of 24. Finally, we hit a fight night, or we hit a fight card that's under four ranked fighters from UFC 312. So I can finally shut up about that card. But yeah, 12 fights. It's the main event's great. The main event's great. We'll talk about that. Kape and Almabayev. But overall, I wanted to get your opinion, your rating on this card. It can be whatever you want, A through F numbers. What do you think?
Um, I think on paper it's like a 5.5, 6. But I think the outcome, I'm always, you know me, I'm always like optimistic in terms of how the fights can be. I think when you have guys like Hyder, Amil, William Gomis, Austen Lane, Mario Pinto, Lucas Almeida, those guys can put on, fun fights. So Sam Patterson, Danny Barlow, and then, Charles Johnson, he should be way up higher on the card than he is. But
Yeah.
and you got guys like Douglas Silva, Andrade, guys that are always fun to watch. So I'm pretty excited for it. Um,
Yeah.
Casual fan might look at it and be like, oh, I can go. Let's just go to Dave and Buster's and not worry about the card or whatever. But I'm always tuned into this. So
Yeah, I am gonna agree with you, except for one thing. You included Austin Lane on your list of exciting fighters.
I mean, I think he
Not the
had a
show.
boring fight against whatever that dude's name was.
The
But
Spain.
I mean, he always dies for us. So I mean,
He does die for us. Fair enough. I'll give you that. Um, yeah,
there
let's
is
jump right in.
yeah, yeah.
Jump right in. First fight of the night. This is one I'm going off of UFC.com as always. The prelim opener seems like a weird fight. This could be the co-main pretty easily. This should at least be on the main card, but you know how it goes. They always switch these things up. It's never final until day or two before. So as of right now, this is the first fight of the night. Number 12 ranked Charles Johnson is a plus 102 underdog against Ramazan Temirov, minus 122. Johnson is on a 4-fight winning streak. He's 6-4 in the UFC overall. He is a guy who this is just the kind of fight he has. You know, a prospect, a big name's coming up. They throw him in there with Charles Johnson, and for the past 4 fights, that's kind of how he's made his money. You know, just being a vet, being outlasting people, being too much for these up and comers. On the other side, Ramazan Temirov, he's a pretty great prospect. You know, he had that debut, KO'd CJ Vergara. That was, you know, Vergara was there to get KO'd, but he's been around. Before coming to the UFC, he had 2 KOs in a row and risen, so pretty high level organization. And he's getting a ranked contender in his second fight.
You know,
I'll let you kick us off. Odds are pretty close. Do you see Charles Johnson pulling another Charles Johnson fight out of his ass?
I do. I think Charles Johnson's a lot bigger than Temirov. I mean, I hold that Vergara win pretty highly. Because Vergara's been around and he's hard to put away. So I mean, I think that's a pretty good win. But Johnson's a lot longer than this guy. He's a lot taller than him. I think his takedown defense has gotten better. Um, yeah, man, I don't know. In the long run, he's got a good record, 18-2. But um, when you go look through the names, they're not super high level. They have decent records, but they're not. Many people they're yeah, he's fighting in Muradov Professional League. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, that's not great. And then he's losing to, by finish in these leagues, GFC 17. It doesn't look great. I think he is dominant up to a certain level, but I don't think he's gonna sleep Charles Johnson
Yeah.
early because 11 of his 18 wins are by knockout. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, halfway through the fight, Johnson's um, mixing in his own takedowns. So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going Johnson here, and that's what the underdog, right?
Yeah. Plus 102.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm with you. I'm with you. Charles Johnson, 6 career losses on his record, all 6 by decision. Never been knocked out. From my memory, he's never been knocked down. I could be wrong on that, but I don't remember a time when his chin's been tested that bad.
I don't know either.
And
Yeah,
you look at Temirov's wins recently, they're all, round one, round one, round one, round one, round one, early round 2. This is a classic Charles Johnson fight. Kind of lose the first round. Maybe we get a live bet, plus 200 or something after the first round, and then he just out cardios, out bets the up and comer. This kind of screams like a Charles Johnson fight to me through and through.
oh man, no doubt about it. He is this guy is a guy that's gonna strike with him. That's
Yeah,
what it's looking like, I think. He might come with a different takedown, thinking Johnson's easy to take down, whatever it may be. He's from that side of the world where they do wrestle. So,
yeah,
I'm sure he wrestled growing up. I don't know to what level or what he did, but yeah, man, I think Johnson, when you have a guy who's going to throw, can throw 100 strikes at you in a round, it's hard to weather that. So I think
yeah.
Johnson's going to wear on him through that, and he'll get the win.
I'm with you. Kicking things off, or not kicking things off. What am I saying? Going up in the card. This one's a fight that's really going to get the heart pumping. This is what people tune in for. Women's flyweight, Montana De La Rosa versus Juana Carolina. I was being a little facetious before. These women are not big stars, nor do they have the most amazing fights. Montana De La Rosa is 6-5 in the UFC. She was on a 3-fight losing streak, and then she snapped it in her most recent fight over Andrea Lee. She has some pretty high level losses. And on the other side, Carolina, 6-3 in the UFC, 3-fight winning streak of her own. So it's kind of an interesting one. I'll kick us off here. I guess I'm going Luana Carolina. I guess. I mean, you look at the fights, neither of them are really beating. They're not world beaters, These are not women who are going out there and beating the best of the best. Pretty close in age, pretty close in size. Carolina's a little more of a striker. Rosa's a little more of a grappler, but I don't know. This feels like a Luana Carolina win to me. Split decision, probably. You with me?
Yeah, I don't rate Montana very highly, and I think momentum matters. I don't even think Montana won her last fight. Um, I don't really know what to think of this fight because both girls they're not great. Carolina, what? She's 6-3 in the UFC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Three
wow,
fight winning streak.
that's that's pretty impressive. What's Montana De La Rosa in the UFC? Do you know that?
Six
Off
and
the top.
five.
I mean,
I know. I know.
this is. I think I'm just gonna have to go with the one with the momentum. So I'm gonna take
Yeah.
Carolina as well. I don't really have much to say. It's gonna be it's gonna be probably a low volume, weird striking fight, and then we'll probably get the occasional weird um grappling exchange, but I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this fight, and I don't know if they do either. So yeah.
Nope. And we will not spend any more time on it. Thankfully. And the next fight should be a little better. Two guys who were pretty exciting. Danny Silva minus 198 versus Lucas Almeida plus 164. That's at featherweight. Almeida 2-2 in the UFC. Most recently got a UD over Timothy Kwamba. Silva's 1-0 with a split decision win over Josh Kulabau. So two guys relatively new in the UFC. I'll say that, relatively new. Danny Silva probably a little more hype. But yeah, who are you going here?
I think I'm gonna go Lucas Almeida.
Yeah.
I don't think Danny Silva won his last fight um, against Culibao, which isn't a bad thing, but I think this is a good underdog spot. Um, I don't think I don't think he's like too impressive. Almeida, he's had a couple losses in the UFC, but it was against fairly good people. So yeah, I don't really know if I have too much to say about this, but I think Almeida's a good spot for an underdog for sure.
I am not with you. I'm going Danny Silva. Almeida's a little older. Silva's 28. Almeida's 34. Um, Danny Silva did miss weight, so that's maybe something to keep an eye on in his most recent fight. But I mean, he beat Josh Kulabau. Whether or not we agree with the scorecards, he did beat Josh Kulabau, Angel Pacheco. I mean, these aren't the best wins, but still, Lucas Almeida. He's got some pretty good losses on his record. Andre Fili, Pat Sabatini, and Daniel Zellhuber are his three losses, but I just don't think he has the strength of schedule nor the wow factor that really would sway me against a prospect like Danny Silva. But
Fair enough. I think Almeida just shows up to fight, no matter if he gets finished or what. I think he's there ultimately until he gets finished. But
yeah,
you know what I mean. I think he's there to fight, and I don't think he's there to lose. So,
yeah,
um, I don't know. I could see him winning a decision here for sure.
I could as well. Definitely not betting Danny Silva at this number, but just kind of one of those fights. Um,
Oh boy, yeah.
Speaking of one of those fights, this is definitely one of those fights. Women's flyweight, Andrea Lee plus
Oh boy.
160 against JJ Aldrich minus 192. Women's flyweight is something else. I mean, Andrea Lee is 5-8 in the UFC, 5-fight losing streak right now. Her last loss was a split decision to Montana De La Rosa, who we just talked about. Aldrich on the other side, 9-6. Most recently coming off a UD loss to Veronica Hardy. Pretty close fight. These are two women who get in a lot of split decisions. I'll say this. It is my turn. So I'll kick us off. I'm going JJ Aldrich. I think, what is Andrea Lee good at? Well, nothing. What does she want to do? Maybe strike. And I think, JJ Aldrich can kind of get in a few takedowns, make it messy. I don't have confidence in JJ Aldrich at all. I'm definitely not betting this, but you're giving me a woman on a 5-fight losing streak, not to the best names. There's a few good names in there, but not to the best names. I can't. I don't know why she's still in the UFC. I don't
Which
know.
begs the question, is Andrea Lee a kickboxer that wrestles or a wrestler that kickboxes? That's the age-old question. I think these girls are really similar in how they fight,
Yeah.
which you don't know what they're gonna do. You don't really know if they know what they want to do. This is like an elevated Carolina Montana De La Rosa fight.
Is it
Um,
elevated?
slightly, ever so slightly. I think both of these girls have a bigger name and probably have reached a bigger ceiling than the two girls prior, but that doesn't mean they're great. Yeah, I don't know. I think Andrea Lee does get back on the horse here. I don't really know. It's overwhelming Aldrich, I'm pretty sure, on Capology when I looked at it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. I just feel like she always just doesn't do enough. I think both of them don't do enough at the end of rounds to really steal decisions.
Yeah.
Um, so I think one of them will do enough here, and I think I'm gonna go with Andrea Lee, who's been around a little longer, probably has a
Wow.
little bit better, higher quality wins over her career. Yeah, I'm going with Andrea Lee.
Does it concern you that Andrea Lee's last two wins? She's 36. She's pretty old, but her last two wins are Antonina Shevchenko and Cynthia Calvillo in 2021.
Not necessarily, because
No.
at this level, at this weight class, if you're not like the top five, you're liable to lose to anybody in
Fair
that
enough.
weight class. You lose to Viviana Araújo, not a bad loss. You lose to Macy Barber, not a bad loss. You lose to Natalia Silva, not a bad loss. You lose to
Yeah.
Miranda Maverick, not a bad loss, and then you lose a fight that I thought she won. It is what it is.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, you could say the same thing for Aldrich. She
Yeah, you
lost
could.
to Ariane Lipski, Aaron Blanchfield, and then Veronica Hardy. They're just always in fight. Unless they're getting finished, they're just always in fights that are just this close.
Yeah.
Um, and I think Andrew's a little bit bigger than her, but I think Aldrich is like a little denser, a little thicker. I don't really know how their grappling will play out, but I definitely think I am edging Andrea Lee in this fight.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No diddy. Yeah, it's the if anything for Aldrich for me, it's the wins. I mean, Montana De La Rosa, Julian Robertson, Vanessa Demopoulos. Maybe she has better wins. I don't really care to discuss it any longer, though.
Yeah.
This is a bad fight. Let's
Yeah,
just say that.
we don't need expert breakdown for this one.
Nope. On to a much better fight, in my opinion. Douglas Silva de Andrade, a plus 190 underdog against John Castaneda. This is at bantamweight. Um, Silva de Andrade 7-6 in the UFC. I was surprised at that. I thought he'd have more wins, but he has some great losses to some great guys, and his worst loss is probably his most recent fight. UD lost to Miles Johns. Castaneda 4-3 in the UFC, coming off a UD loss himself to Daniel Marcos. Douglas Silva de Andrade, I mean, he's a vet. He's older. He's 39 years old at bantamweight. But at the same time, John Castaneda, I don't know why I thought of him as a prospect. He's kind of a little bit more of a prospect, but he's 33 himself,
Yeah.
little past his prime. Uh, your turn, Will. You going with the vet, or you going with the quote unquote new gun?
I think Castaneda's cooked. I'm not really a fan of his. And I feel like I'm just picking a whole bunch of underdogs in this card, but I don't mind taking Douglas Silva de Andrade at all. He's got super high finishing potential in any fight he's in. You've seen the way he's built. He's built like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
He's always ripped. He's always in shape. And he comes to take people's heads off, and he has really good submission skills. Even though he only has two submission wins, um, even at his age, he's still what is it? How many of his you know Sergey Marazov, didn't pan out well, but he's still able to get submissions. And I think he does have that part in his game where you don't really see it all the time. Um, but yeah, I'd like to see how they match up, face to face at the face-offs. But I'm
Mhm.
definitely going Douglas Silva de Andrade. Partly because I'm biased. I'm not a huge fan of Castaneda. I think he's kind of cooked, but you know, he's got some miles on his tires. But um, I do want to see how they look at face-offs before I make a super ironclad decision. But I'm leaning Douglas for sure.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, you look at John Castaneda's losses; they're a lot worse than Silva Andrade's. I mean,
Yeah,
Daniel Marcos, Daniel Santos, even some on the regional scene that good records, but they're kind of no names. And then you look
yeah.
at Silva Andrade; he's there. His losses are, I mentioned earlier, much better. Lauren Murphy, Said Nurmagomedov, Peter Yan, Rob Font, Zabera Tukagov. Shout out. These are
Shout out.
for the most part, really high level guys. He's beating Cody Stamen. Sergey Morozov was great. Henan Barao, God, he must have been 80 at that time. But yeah, Sylvan Andrade, power
He's really
mentality.
young. Hen Barrow is not as old as people think he is.
What?
He's I was looking at his topology, I know this is out of the way, but he's not as old as you would think.
Oh my God, he isn't 38. What?
Yeah, so his peak was like when he was like 27.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, and his peak, he was cooked before he was 30.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? Dude, you say Hen Barrow, I'm thinking like he's 45,
Yeah.
and he's not.
45.
That's
Jeez. I
crazy.
mean, he's coming back. Who did he just get booked against in GFL?
Name,
Faber. Faber
your name.
3.
Oh God.
Yep. Protection neck.
Breaking news. Breaking news, yeah.
Ah, a bunch of that, and go off topic again. The Ben Rothwell Fedor Emelianenko fight in BKFC.
Oh
It's
God.
it's not going to be a
Breaking.
great year for the old
You
guys.
know how
Say
Ariel
that.
Helwani's show has their breaking news sound
Yeah,
effect? Oh, well, we need that.
we need that. We
Yeah.
do indeed. Ugh.
Oh, it's so funny.
All right, something better than old guys getting knocked out. Featherweights: Ricardo Ramos plus 300 versus Chepe Mariscal minus 430. Uh, some lines have grown significantly. I'll say that in the past few days. Um, both these guys share the same record, actually. Overall, 17-6. However, Ramos, all of his losses are in the UFC. More of his wins too. He's 8-5, coming off a split decision win over Josh Kulabau. Before that, he got Gilead twice in a row. So tells you something. Chepe 4-0 in the UFC, kind of turned around. Most of his losses all of his losses are in the regional scene, but he's been on a really good run. Has some really good wins. We've been at two of his fights now, and this is a very, very interesting one. My turn. I'm going Chepe Mariscal. I'm a huge fan of his. He finished one of our guys, Jack Jenkins. So kind of resented him for a bit, but then he kind of turned me around. He's had some great fights, fighting the Knights, training with Justin Gaethje, and Ramos has some interesting losses. I mean, he's a striker. He's got some interesting, two spinning back elbows. but he's lost by pretty much just grappling. He's been to good guys. Don't get me wrong, Charles Jourdain, Julian Rosa, Tukakov again, Ron Murphy, but he clearly has a deficiency in the grappling game, and Chepe, I think, could beat him on the feet. And we've seen he also has a ground game, you know? So, yeah, the only thing is if Chepe can make weight, he blew weight pretty bad last time against Damon Jackson. So, Chepe, don't love the line, but pick his Chepe.
Yeah, I agree. I think Chepe is gonna whoop Ramos.
Mm,
I don't know if I can say much more than what you said, but yeah, I think Chepe whoops Ramos. His fight against Damon Jackson was pretty impressive.
yeah.
How he outpaced the guy that outpaces people. Um, so yeah, I think I'm not a fan. This is the running theme.
Mm,
I don't think Ramos won his last fight. Dude, because dude,
yeah, I agree with you.
Josh Kulabau is just constantly getting shafted on the on
He is.
on us. He's like the Angela Hill of
Oh,
of
God.
men's.
He might be. That's rough.
Shout out Angela Hill though.
Shout out
We
Angela
gotta say
Hill.
it. Shout out Angela Hill. She's still keeping it going at 40 years old, and she had a split decision go her way for once.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Chepe's gonna whoop Ramos. Yeah.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I just looked. Chepe, 3 years older. Ramos is
Oh,
still
wow.
29. It's interesting. But yeah. Next fight, welterweight. Another one I'm pretty excited for. Danny Barlow versus Sam Patterson. Danny Barlow, pretty big favorite, almost minus 300
Oh
versus
wow.
Sam Patterson plus 240. Barlow's undefeated, 2-0 in the UFC with a split decision win and a KO. We kind of talked last week about one of those, the split decision when we talked about Vanderford and Veretennikov, who Barlow beat last time. KO over Raheem Forrest on the Contender Series to get the contract, which I was a big fan of Forrest at the time. Patterson 2-1 in the UFC, 2 submission wins, but he did lose his debut. He got KO'd by Yanal Ashmouz. I was going to say something. I'm not going to say something about that.
Oh boy.
Got KO'd by Yanal Ashmouz. Kind of a weird KO, but
Yeah.
yeah. Do you agree with the line here? Minus 300?
I think it's a really weird matchup.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I think I'm gonna figure out who I'm gonna take by the end of me talking, but I don't know if minus 300 is accurate. I don't know if Barlow's really been tested in the grappling where Sam Patterson really succeeds. Patterson, I think, is one of those guys. He's 6'3", and he was at 155 when he made his debut, and he has looked really good at 170. Albeit that it's not against the greatest people, Kiefer Crosby and Johan Lanus, but
Hmm.
he handled those guys in the first round and whooped them. So. I don't really know. I'm a fan of Sam Patterson along with
Yeah.
Brendan, who's also been on the show.
Yeah.
Danny Barlow, he didn't look great his last fight. I heard he broke his hand early on in that fight. I
Yeah.
don't know. Um,
Fight before that. Well, maybe both, but I know he broke in the Quinlan fight.
okay, that's possible. And Quinlan hasn't really looked good since
Mm.
he hasn't looked great since he put down what's that dude's name?
Jason Witt,
Jason
I think.
Witt. Yeah, shout out Jason Witt. Shout out Jason
If you
Witt,
say
man.
so.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this fight. I'm trying to really break it down. I think Danny Barlow could go in here and starch him in 90 seconds, but I also think Sam Patterson could take advantage of skills that we haven't seen Danny Barlow really perform at a high level in the octagon. It could go either way, but I do want to lean Patterson just because I'm biased, and I'll say that. If I had to make an official pick, I'm gonna go Barlow, but I will be doing everything else on Sam Patterson in terms of betting or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely betting Sam Patterson. Definitely betting Sam Patterson sub. But that's for a different show. I guess I'm picking Barlow. I'll have to think on this one. Official, I'll go Barlow, but I don't know. Sam Patterson. I mean, Sam Patterson's bigger than him too. He's 6'3". Barlow's only 6'2". Only a 1-inch reach for Danny Barlow, which usually he's expecting that reach advantage. But the split decision to Veretennikov, I do not rate Veretennikov highly at all.
No.
And he got clipped. Sam Patterson's probably not going to clip him on the feet. And there wasn't a bunch of ground game there, but it feels like one of those ones. What was Sam Patterson against Kiefer Crosby? He was a huge favorite. He was an underdog to Johan Lonius. Interesting.
That's crazy because that was fresh off of him getting slept by Austen.
Yeah, Sam Patterson is coming up in weight too, or he did come up his last fight, which 2 fights ago, I guess, which could definitely help. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to take Sam Patterson. I
don't mind
think
that at all.
Takes him down, subs him, or holds him down. Yeah. Next fight up, first fight on the main card, and it's a really good one. Hyder Amil plus 170 versus William Gomis minus 205. Both these guys are undefeated in the UFC. Gomis is 4-0. Hyder is 2-0. Hyder's also undefeated overall. Gomis coming off that split decision win over Joanderson Brito in Paris. In Paris. I did not think he won that one.
He didn't win that fight.
Hyder is coming off. He has 2 KOs so far in the UFC. Lesser opposition than William Gomis, definitely, but still 2 KOs nonetheless. I am going to kick this one off with, I guess, a Gomis pick. I don't want to pick Gomis here because Gomis really, really, really boring. But he's bigger. He's longer. Hyder Meal's a little old. He's 30. He's almost 35. And the strength of schedule, I mean, Hyder Meal's wins over Zhang Lee, which is a decent win. But also Fernie Garcia, not great. And then you look at Gomis. I mean, his wins are a little better. Francis Marshall is a good win. Yarno Aaron's a decent win. Joanderson Brito is definitely the best win. Even if, you didn't score for him, he still found a way to convince the judges. So I guess I'm going Gomis, but I'm not happy about it one bit.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Amil. Hyder Amil is fun to watch. Even back on his Contender Series fight, and he's knocking these dudes out coming into the UFC. Fernie Garcia, and a guy that hasn't been. I don't think Fernie Garcia was knocked out much before Hyder Amil. I could be completely wrong, but it's still it was the first guy to knock him out. I was almost certain of that, but I didn't want to speak in certains if I wasn't too sure. But yeah, I think Gomi's really safe, really boring. I remember he had that weird one where he cut extra 10 pounds that he should. Remember that weird time?
Yeah,
That
what was
his
that?
manager, they thought it was that the fight was at 135 or something like that. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was or something. It was
That was
something
silly.
really weird. Almost what do you call it? It was almost like a performative. It was really strange.
Oh yeah.
Once again, I think this is gonna be one of those fights where I pick Gomi, but I bet Amil.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Gomi. I think Amil's gonna like his nickname says, the Hurricane. I think he'll bring that to Gomi, but I think Gomi is really solid in how safe and methodical he takes his fights. Because he can just pick and poke at you and just not get touched, and it's really annoying to watch. It's probably even more annoying to fight against, but yeah, I'll take Gomi to win, but I also will bet Amil and wouldn't be surprised if Amil won one bit.
Yep, we are seemingly aligned in breakdown and pick. This next one, I really hope we're going to be aligned on. I really do. Heavyweight, Austen Lane plus 270. Don't give me that luck. Versus Mario Pinto minus 340. Austen Lane, I mean, we talked about it before. uh, 1-2 in the UFC, one no contest. We were there for the no contest, actually. He got eye poked by
Shout out
uh,
Austin Lane, man.
Justin Tafa. Sure, that's definitely a one-sided shout out. His last fight was pretty boring. He, wrestle fucked Rubeles to Spain, which I don't blame him for that one bit. That's how
I
you
mean, you
that's how
could
you
probably
beat
do
him.
that.
Yeah.
That's
But before that, his two losses were him essentially just being a punching bag to. I know Justin Tafa. I was just looking at this. Was it Ryan Spann that he also got knocked out by?
I don't know.
No,
I know he went
Janata Deniz. Janata
he
Deniz.
went life or death with Juan Adams a few years ago. If you remember the Kraken in
I
the
do.
UFC.
Shout out.
He went life or
Love Juan
death with him.
Adams.
He beat him, but questionable stoppage. Shout out Juan
Yeah.
Adams.
Shout out Juan Adams.
But
Pinto on the other side. Definitely the prospect in this matchup. Undefeated.
oh,
This is Dana White's Contender Series debut. Um, got a quick KO there. Much younger. Austen Lane's 37. Pinto is 26. Yeah, 26 in this matchup. Fighting out of Portugal, despite the you'd think he's a heavyweight from Brazil, but no, fighting out of Portugal.
shout out Andre Fialho.
Shout out Andre Fialho. Love our Portugal guys. So
Um,
yeah, is this big surprise of the week?
no, I think Pinto's gonna win. I'd like to see how they look at the face-off. I don't know if it'll
Yeah.
matter much, but I do have a question for you. How many times do you think that they're gonna mention Austin Lane is one, an athlete, two, a former NFL defensive end, and three from Jacksonville, and he was a Jaguar? How many times do you
Oh
think we'll
God.
say that?
I mean, I watched the no contest and they mentioned it at least 3 times in the like 90
It's
seconds of that fight.
disgusting, dude.
Ugh,
He is very athletic, and that gets you far in MMA
mhm.
or in the heavyweight division. It gets you very, very far. Um, he's got 13 wins. He's got 11 knockout wins. Um, all of his losses are by knockout. So
Yeah,
that's why he's exciting. He's coming in there to die. He's gonna die about it, you know. Um, it's just when he gets to the higher level, I'm also not a fan of heavyweights coming into the UFC um this young and without these many fights. I think heavyweights should wait the longest to
yeah,
come into the UFC. You should have 20 fights to become a heavyweight in the UFC. I think just
yeah,
it matters. You can fight till you're 45 in the UFC at heavyweight. It doesn't really matter. You can still get wins at a certain point. Um, Pinto's probably gonna knock him out. This is the heavyweight division outside of the rankings is the equivalent of anybody past the rankings of 1 to 5 in the women's flyweight division. They can all beat each other. They can all lose to each other. I don't think it matters who you or I pick because who knows what the hell's gonna happen in this fight. Austin Lane can become Perk Angle again and take this dude down and you just don't know at this level, man. Um,
yeah,
but Pinto knockout, probably. Who knows?
yeah. I'm with you. I'm a little more hesitant though. I mean, I'm not picking Austin Lane in the year of our Lord 2025, but
Oh boy.
Pinto, I mean, minus 340 for a guy who does not have, I mean, he only has 8 fights, excuse me, 9 fights, not the best level of competition, a little young. And he's not like, most of his wins are by knockout, but he's not finishing like, who's the guy in 312 that you looked at? This is going to be great television.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Telshin Teixeira, he was whatever undefeated, but all of his wins were by knockout and quickly. Right, that's what you want to
Yeah.
see for a guy coming to the UFC. But no, Pinto's got 3 decisions, including 2 of his last 4, and a KO in the 3rd round. So it's like sure you got a quick KO in the Contender Series, but as a heavyweight, you want the guy you're picking to go in there and knock the brakes off of bums on the regional scene.
That's why
And
I'm
that's
saying I wouldn't be sorry to cut you off. I don't think it would be surprising to see Austin Lane win just because of the
yeah,
fact that Pinto can take it longer. That gives a guy like Austin Lane someone that might not have the greatest reads early on in the fight to to make an adjustment after round one and so on. That's why it's so hard to pick a fight like this because you just don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, but yeah, moving on. One that was a little tougher for me to pick for a different
Agreed.
reason. I'll say that lightweight Nasrat Haqparast, also known as lightweight Kelvin Gastelum, is fighting Esteban Ribovics. Uh, Plus 185 for Haqparast, minus 238 for Ribovics. This is at lightweight. Haqparast, this surprised me. I was a little shocked. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. Most recently, a
Wow.
split decision win over Jared Gordon. KO'd Jamie Markey before that. That's not saying too much. Esteban himself, 3-fight win streak, split decision, and fight of the year over Daniel Zellhuber at the Sphere last year. Before that, quick KO over Terrence McKinney, 19 seconds. Catch that under 60 seconds for a McKinney fight.
Oh yeah.
This is one that it's me, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going. This is one that kind of I had to think about it because I saw the odds and I was shocked that Ribovics is this big of a favorite. I mean, he's 14-1, but Haqparast is a dog, and he's a real vet. I mean, look at his losses. Marcin Howell way back in the day. Drew Dober, Dan Hooker, King
Should it
Green.
should have been Jared Gordon.
I had money on Nasrat, so I'm not
Oh,
going to
come
comment on that.
on.
He was him by decision was crazy. It was like plus 200 or something at the time. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna hop over that.
Shout out Jared Gordon because that's another guy that gets a shit under the stick a lot of the
He
times.
really
Yeah.
does. He really does. I
I
mean, most
forgot
recently he
that
had
guy.
that fight fall out day before.
Yeah.
Um,
Unfortunate, man.
but yeah, I'm picking Esteban Ribovics. This was like a really, again, I hate these odds on him. Um, but he's younger, not only by like 6 months or so. I thought Nasrat was going to be, a lot older, but younger in fight years, younger in,
Yeah, he's
time
been
doing
around a
this.
while.
Yeah.
He's been in some wars too. He's taking damage.
He really has. And I think that Ribovics is just on a hot streak right now. Maybe he gets wrestled by Nasrat, but I think he takes this one probably a little closer. Probably a little closer. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Nasrat really has the pedigree to really take him down that well, just in this
Yeah.
matchup. Um, I have it on good order that he fought his last fight, which was an amazing fight with a broken hand going into the fight.
Oh,
So
really?
Esteban, yeah, yeah,
Oh, Esteban. Okay.
yeah. Esteban fought his last fight in that really good fight against was it Zellhuber in the Sphere? I think that's
Yeah.
who it was.
Yeah.
It
Fight of the
was an
year contender.
insane fight in the Sphere. It was something to watch. Um, and he did all that with a broken hand. Uh, I think Esteban is gonna try to replicate a little bit of that, and um, I think a guy like Haqparast will oblige that kind of fight. So, yeah, I'm gonna go Esteban here. I think Esteban's gonna piece him up, probably to a
Yeah.
decision victory.
Interesting. You're a little more confident than I am, but I'll take it. Being on the same side. This is one. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be on the same side of this one. I'll tell you that. Um, you got the co-main event, middleweight co-main event for some reason. Cody Brundage plus 136 versus Julian Marquez minus 162. Brundage, I mean, he had that loss to Bo Nickel, got rear naked choked in the second. Most recently, he got KO'd by Al Hassan and then successfully convinced whoever the ref was to overturn it to a no contest due to
I was
strikes to the
there for
back of the head.
I was there for that fight, man. The crowd was pissed.
Really?
I
Where
was
was that? I
I
thought
was
that
in
was in
Denver with
Denver.
Rosa and our boy what the hell? I can't whatever. Evan Elder. Sorry, Evan.
Evan Elder. Yep.
Evan Elder, yeah. Evan Elder has a fight coming up.
Ooh,
Yep,
interesting.
he's fighting next month, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they
Uh
officially announced that. Let
did they?
me. Yeah, you keep talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is your
I
pick.
don't think Brundage is very underwhelming, but I rate Marquez. I don't know if Brundage will be able to put the damage on Marquez to getting out of there early. Like he's been getting put out of there early. He's been TKO'd 3 times in a row. I think that Gregory Rodriguez fight really hurt
Ooh,
him.
yeah,
Uh, and then he got TKO'd by Andre Barrial, a guy who's not really that maybe was a decision guy for a while. And
yeah,
then he got out of there by Zach Reese. Whatever that's gonna happen fighting Zach Reese. Um, I think Marquez will be savvy enough in the grappling to fend off wrestling, here and there. I don't know for the whole 15 minutes, but I think Marquez is gonna make him really, really work for it. I'm surprised these odds aren't closer than what they are. I would think Brundage would be the favorite, honestly.
yeah.
But I'm gonna go Marquez here, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Marquez, had a little bit of, it's what, been 8 months since he fought Zach Reese. Um, we see Brundage get hurt a bunch, um, or get put in compromising positions. Like he beat Zach Reese, but he was, letting those submission attempts get like
Yeah.
thrown up at him left and right. Like I don't know if Marquez is gonna, throw up triangles off his back against Cody Brundage if he gets there, but I think Marquez is savvy enough, and I think he could get like a Dars. We've
Hmm.
seen him do Anaconda, those kind of chokes. I'm going Marquez here. I think Marquez gets back on track. I think to keep Brundage around just because he's win loss win loss win loss loss
Yeah, he's
loss
a company
win.
guy.
Yeah, he's a company guy. He comes in and fights. Yeah, I'm going Marquez, man. I'm not gonna speak too much more on it because
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I'm going Marquez here.
I'm going Cody Brundage. I think Marquez is kind of done. His last win is in 2021, 4 years ago, against Sam Alvey. Um,
I mean, that's
and
Karate Combat Heavyweight Champion, so I meant
you're
Sam
right.
Alvey to
You're
you.
right. Uh, Craig Combat, one of the goats. But yeah, Brundage is just, I think, I mean, he's younger. He hasn't taken as much damage. Um, he he beat Zach Reese, which call it what it is. Probably shouldn't have. Looking back, knocked out Trayshawn Gore before that. KO or Gilly the Goat, Dalcho Hungshumbula,
I don't
and
talk so, man.
I don't think Marquez is gonna like put him away pretty quickly. And I think he kind of just outlasts Marquez. Probably takes him down, grinds out a round or two. But yeah, I think he's the better athlete. I can't believe I'm saying that about Cody Brundage. I think he's the better athlete. He's younger. He's taking less damage, and more importantly, he has a more recent win. So I think the ego thing's there. Um, that being said, I absolutely have no interest in discussing much further. If Marcus wins, I will not care at all. Honestly, either way.
Yeah, I think whatever happens, it'll be exciting.
Yeah,
I don't think you know, I don't think Brundage will lay and prey on him. I don't think he'll be able to. I think Marquez is scrambly. I think, dude, I really think Brundage going for a takedown. I really think Marquez has good submission in that area.
interesting.
Because he took out Darren Stewart, Maki Pitolo, shout out. Um, and then Sam Alvey with the rear naked. So he
Mhm.
has, he has a bag of submissions that he can pull off, and he has knockout power. Um, and he has all his wins are by finish. So I think he's dangerous. I think if he was a little bit more durable, it'd be a no-brainer to pick Marquez here. I think it's really just comes down to if Marquez can take a punch in this fight, I think he wins it. So
Interesting.
yeah,
I don't hate it, but kind of do. If you had said either guy, I would hate it, and I
I
hate
understand.
myself
Yeah,
for picking Cody
yeah.
Brundage. Onto a much better fight, much better fight. Main event at flyweight, number 6 ranked Manel Kape minus 230 versus number 8 ranked Almabayev plus 190. This is kind of short notice. The fight is short notice themselves, but both guys were scheduled for the card. Um, Kape was originally supposed to fight Royval. Royval got hurt. Almabayev was supposed to fight Ursig. Ursig got pulled. Then Nascimento. and then he got pulled up to the main event. So I would have liked Kape versus Royval better, but I don't hate this one. Manel Kape, one of those guys, he came in, ton of hype, lost his first two. He's been on a great streak since then. His most recent win, Bruno Silva, we were there. He KO'd him. Before that, lost to Marquez, in that awful fight where they each threw like 8 strikes or something. So he's kind of taken a little bit of form. He had a ton of hype in Ryzen. All by himself, bunch of hype, 4-0 in the UFC. Most recently, he has a UD over Nicolau, who beat Kape. It's definitely a grappler versus striker matchup, and I'd say Kape definitely has the higher level experience here. Striker versus grappler. Generally, I like to go with the striker here. But that being said, I'm going Nasu Almabayev. I think this being in the apex hurts Kape a lot. Kape, he's a momentum fighter. He loves putting on a show. He obviously was loving it when that crowd was on him in the Bruno Silva fight. And his first two fights in the UFC were not in front of fans. Granted, great competition. Current champion and Mateus Nicolau at the time was good.
Yeah.
But those were in the UFC Apex, peak COVID. And then once he, started getting back in front of fans and started fighting lesser opposition, he was winning fights. Aside from the Mokaev fight, which was just weird. But, I think Almabayev can wrestle him. I think he's got more hype. And Kape has been wrestled, not in the UFC. I mean, kind of Pantoja, kind of Nicolau, but not really. He's been wrestled before in Ryzen, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that, sure. But, I'm going Almabayev. I think he's just an overall better fighter, and the crowd, no crowd is going to play a big role here. What do you think?
I look at a guy like Almabayev who gets a bunch of finishes before he gets into the UFC, and then he fights a guy that might be a little lower level, like Ode Osborne, chokes him out, and then he gets a little bump up in competition with CJ Vergara, Jose Johnson, and y- if you have submission skills, you should submit Jose Johnson, who we faded here a couple weeks ago. 3 straight decision wins. He's winning, but I hold those not getting finishes against him. I think now he has 5 rounds to fight Manel Kape. I think Manel Kape's going to snowball and put it on Asu Almabayev. I don't know, Matush Nicolau, he's kind of cooked. Jose Johnson's cooked. CJ Vergara's, a crafty mid-level dude, doesn't get finished much, but Nicolau and Johnson are guys that do get finished, and he didn't finish them, and I hold that against him because at a certain level, you should be finishing these guys, and if you're not, then maybe you're not who you say you are on paper. Shout out Anthony Smith. But yeah, I think it's pretty cut and dry for me. I'm gonna take Kape. He might be put in some trouble early, maybe in the first like 7.5, 8 minutes, but then after that, I think it'll be all Kape.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that should be a fight card for sure. Hopefully, good ending. Could see it being kind of bad if it's neither guy wants to commit, or maybe Almabayev just kind of holds him down for 5 rounds. But you generally get good fights with these two guys, and plenty of excitement. I'll say there's going to be plenty of bodies flying.
Yeah.
That's why you have
It'll
Cody
be good,
Brundage and Julian Marquez on the card. That's the only reason they're
off the top rope.
co-main event. Quick regional minute here. There's not a ton going on this week. Regional MMA, no boxing this week. Non-UFC. Oh, there is boxing, kind of. First off, One Friday fights almost every Friday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, free on YouTube. You're not going to know the names. They're just some Thai guys, some Russians that they throw in a Muay Thai cage together and throw fists at each other, but it's free. It's fights. Watch it instead of doing work in the morning. I don't know. Also on Friday, also in the morning, 10 a.m., ACA 184, going down to Russia. some names, not a bunch that the average UFC fan's gonna know, but some their featherweight championships on the line. Some good guys. Maybe you pay for. I think it's free actually on their website. But Karate Combat 53 going down in Denver, also on Friday 4 p.m.
Oh yeah.
It says YouTube. Sometimes they get on Fight Pass, but at least YouTube for now. Bantamweight Championship in the main event, but the co-main is why I wanted to bring this one up. Rebelis Despain is already back, and the guy he's going to be knocking out in 5 seconds is an ACA Brazilian. So that tells you something. Also on the card, Bryce Mitchell is grappling Israeli Ili Barzilay, yep, LFA fighter at 180. Barzilay is a lightweight. Mitchell's a featherweight. Mitchell obviously had that controversy, said he was a fan of Hitler for the most part, and now he's going up against an Israeli guy.
Before all that stuff.
Sure.
Whatever
you want to say. So that'll be interesting. It's grappling. It's not a fight. Also on the card,
I wouldn't be surprised if someone throws a punch, though. I'll tell you that much.
God. I hope Barzilay comes over top of an elbow. Also on the card, I brought this one up for you, Will. Dwight, the body snatcher Grant.
Shout out Dwight Grant, man.
At 40 years old.
He's 40?
Yeah.
Like, don't crack, man. Jesus.
Will, you are the only member of the Dwight Grant fan club.
There's a couple of us out there.
Sorry, you were that fight.
Oh yeah, it's the clubs.
Too close.
Yeah.
Combat FC 9 going down in Wilmington, Massachusetts, Friday night. Not really anybody notable. Only reason I bring this up is it's going to be on Fight Pass for some reason. So if you want fights on Friday night, if you want MMA, if you want fights, this card will probably be better. Bare Knuckle Fight Night, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 7 p.m. YouTube trailer for the main card. Who was on here that I wanted to mention? Braxton Smith, former UFC fighter.
In karate. Wait.
BKFC.
What? Oh, BKFC. Sorry, I misheard you. That's pretty good, man. He looked pretty good his last fight.
Yeah, he was good. Eric Dodson, John Dodson's brother, and Beksad Umanov, former Ultimate Fighter contender, or whatever you want to call it. That is the regional minute. I forgot to click the clicker, so regional minute. There you go. We get it for 2 seconds.
Hey man, we gotta up our production budget.
Up our production.
Yeah.
$2 to $4.
Yeah, man. $3.99.
$3.99. Next week's card is going to be much better than this one. UFC 313 going down Las Vegas in front of a crowd at T-Mobile, though. Main event, Magomed Ankalaev is challenging Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight championship. Co-main, Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker are going to beat the shit out of each other. Will, you know how we do it on this podcast, your fight that you're most looking forward to on UFC 313.
I mean, we're gonna be basic here. We gotta go with Gaethje and Hooker, man. It's a fight that Dan Hooker said it best. They're gonna end up in the hospital afterwards. So,
yep.
If you like car crashes, if you like people getting hurt, if you like if you like fists, if you like 8 limbs being thrown at each other, everything but headbutts, that's gonna be a fight you're gonna want to watch, because we might see rolling thunders, we might see head kicks, spinning stuff. You don't know, backflips. Who knows? That's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be hard to top that fight. So
it's gonna be a good fight, but I'm hoping the outcome will be better in the fight I'm picking, main event. I mean, you said we're being basic, and you know me. You know I was going to pick this fight. My guy, Alex Pereira.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to KO Magomed Ankalaev. I got to wash the Alex Pereira fight shirt for next week's pod.
My boy might get his first leg kick TKO in the UFC.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. A lot of leg kicks in the last 2 fights. Justin Gaethje, big leg kicker too.
Yeah, man. And, you
So
know,
that
it
is
might be
for next
basic,
week.
but, you know, they're the co-main and the main event for a reason.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Those are going to
um,
be
don't
two
sleep on those
phenomenal
fights.
fights. And we'll break down the rest. We'll give you some bets. Who knows what else we might have? But that's for next
I
week.
might be in a Tesla the next episode. Who knows?
Ooh, Tesla will coming back.
Yeah.
You stuck around for this whole hour. Hopefully that entices you to stick around for the next hour.
God bless. All right.
But yeah, that'll be us. Thanks so much as always, Will. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we get some good fights this weekend.
Yes, sir, man. It'll be good.
Good, and
Confident.
thank you for watching.
See you guys.
We'll talk to you next time.